Now we come to the next section of Genesis, comprising chapter 20, verses 1 through 18, which deals with the Abimelech incident. And the background is provided in chapter 20, verses 1 and 2. And the Abimelech incident begins in verses 1 and 2, at verse 1, tracing Abraham's movement. Abraham journeyed from thence, that is, from the oaks of Mamre near Hebron, from the hill country of Judah, towards the land of the Sad, meaning towards the Negev. Towards the desert, he lived between two areas, Kadesh, which is Kadesh Barnea, to the east, and Shur, which is on the Egyptian border on the west. In between these two locations is the town of Gerar. He sojourned in Gerar, which puts him in the Philistine plain. In verse 2, what he once did in chapter 12, he does again in chapter 20. Abraham said of Sarah his wife, "She is my sister." Now this happened within the last year before the birth of Isaac. There was yet no pregnancy. Or she may have been pregnant, but there was no sign of pregnancy as yet. Abraham once again endangered the promise of the seed. Indeed, the result is again the same. Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. Abimelech is not a proper name, but the title of the king of Gerar, just as the term Pharaoh is not a proper name, but the title of the king of Egypt. What his personal name was is not revealed. And he sent and took Sarah, which put things in danger again, the danger of keeping Isaac from being born. And then we have the interaction between Abimelech and God in verses 3 through 8. Discussion between Abimelech and God begins in verse 3, where God warning, and it came by means of a divine intervention, but God came to Abimelech in a dream of the night. In Genesis and elsewhere, God more than once appears to pagans by means of a dream. In Genesis, Abimelech is the first of 5 pagans to receive a divine revelation of things by a dream, and all were warnings. The other 4 were Laban in chapter 31, verse 24, the butler and the baker in chapter 40, verse 5, and Pharaoh in chapter 41, verse 1. And then came the warning, and God said to him, "Behold, you are but a dead man." Here Abimelech individually and personally is being threatened. Another example of the outworking of the cursing facet of the Abrahamic covenant. Because of the unconditional nature of the covenant, although it was Abraham who told the half-truth and half-lie, God intervenes nonetheless. The reason that Abimelech was in danger was because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. In verses 4 and 5, Abimelech made his defense before God. The text begins with a statement of fact. Abimelech had not come near to her, and so far he had not attempted to have sexual relationship with Sarah. And then came the defense. And he said, "Lord, will you slay even a righteous nation?" Previously, the threat was only against Abimelech, but here's also a threat against the whole city-state of Gerar. He then pointed to the deception, said he not himself unto me, "She is my sister," and she herself said, "He is my brother." They both verified each other's story that they were brother and sister, and so Abimelech's actions were the result of their lie. Then came Abimelech's protestation regarding his actions, that he had done this in the integrity of his heart, which had to do with his internal attitude. He had no intention to sin against Abraham or against the God of Abraham. Abimelech did this also in the innocency of his hands, which had to do with the external actions. He so far had not actually committed any sexual sin. Then in verse 6 and 7 records God's response to Abimelech. And in verse 6, God acknowledges the claim of innocence. And the means again was, and God said unto him in a dream. And this is a second dream, and so sometime perhaps a day and a night had transpired since the first dream, and this gave Abimelech time to repent. The acknowledgement was, you know that yes, I know, in the integrity of your heart, you have done this. And for that reason, there was a divine action. God informed Abimelech that it was he who kept them away from Sarah. And I also withheld you from sinning against me, and therefore suffered I that you do not touch her. Then in verse 7, God gave him some instructions. Now both passive and negative, positively, did not therefore restore the man's wife.
The full length of this particular video presentation is 43 minutes. This brief sample should help to demonstrate the depth and quality of these teachings and recordings. There are 23 video lectures, over 12 hours of teaching content for this course on the Book of Genesis. To order this or another online course, visit us at www.arielcollege.com.